Namaste. This is going to be a yin practice about letting go. Every year, I do certain series and classes. I'll do a chakra series. I will do a basic yoga philosophy series. And one of the things in yogic philosophy that is so difficult for me personally is aparigraha. Aparigraha is about non-attachment. It's about non-clinging. It's about letting go. It's the state of surrendering. Surrendering to what is, surrendering to life and the flow of life, surrendering to the signs that are coming at us to change course or direction, surrendering to the unknown, surrendering to the mystery of life. We are facing a lot of that right now. We're facing a lot of emotions, we're facing a lot of shifts and changes, and we've had to let go of a lot of things. We've had to let go of some of our routine, we've had to let go of some of the things that we love. A couple times I've wanted to just go hike on my favorite trail, and during this pandemic, the couple times I've gone, where usually there's just 1 or 2 cars in the parking lot, the parking lot has been full. The drive going into the parking lot, in and out, have been full, and cars have been lined up down the highway, and we just had to turn around and come back, because knowing that trail, we knew that it probably wasn't going to be safe. So I'm not really sure if things are ever going to get back to normal. I think we've all changed or have received insights or certain things within our awareness that's making us recalibrate, making us reassess, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. 6 months or more, we had an astrology workshop in the studio. We knew something was coming. It was written in the stars. We just didn't know what or how big or what impact it would be, other than knowing from studying it, and even studying the numerology code for this year, being 4, that it's about structures collapsing and things being reassessed and restructured and being built from the foundation up all over again. And in order for us to go through those transitions, it takes a parigraha. It takes a parigraha when we're losing someone in our lives, whether it's through death or divorce or some sort of fracture within the relationship that makes us kind of reevaluate what we're receiving in that relationship, and we may go separate ways. And it doesn't matter if it's a choice or if it's forced, it's a parigraha. It's about surrendering to what is and being in that state of allowance and accepting what is. God, this is so hard. We're going to get right into it. Because surrendering and letting go reminds me of yin. We're going to do some yin yoga, and I don't even know how long this is going to be. I haven't written anything out. I'm just kind of pouring myself into this. Let's start in child's. Of course, if child's pose is not a safe pose for you, because a lot of people can't handle this much flexion in the knees, then I always encourage you to take an alternative. And it could be as simple as relaxing here on your back. It could be as simple as hugging the knees in very lightly. This could be your version of child's pose. If you need to sit in a chair with your feet on the floor and folding over your lap, knees together or splayed open, that's acceptable. We are going to be going into a side bend from child's pose after that. So if you need to stay reclined on your back, just remember You can always do banana asana, the side stretch here. So I'm going to go ahead and get malasana. Take a moment just to settle in, to make sure this posture is going to work for you. Something you can hold rather easily. Something that's not going to be a struggle, at least physically in your body. And take time just to notice the frame of your own mind. Whatever thoughts may be swirling through, I want you to start to breathe in and out with more conscious control. So instead of the breath being on autopilot, become the captain. Take control over your breath. Our body is our precious vehicle in life. We must take care of it. And these physical asanas will help to reveal to us where we're storing stress or tension in the body. Wherever life is showing up in the body, just practice with more caution, with more compassion. I want you to emphasize your exhalations here. So as you're breathing in on your next breath, just count from the beginning to the top of that inhale. If you arrive to the count of 4, I want you to attempt to breathe out to 8. If you are breathing in to 5 or 6, breathe out to 10 or 12. The exhalations will assist us in this state of surrendering. Breathing in, counting on the inhale, and breathing out, counting double on the exhale. There's an Anya Snin quote that I used last week on the Dharma talk for No Mud, No Lotus. And that quote states, "There came a day when the risk to remain as tight as a bud was more than it took to blossom." So instead of staying contracted and resistant within this ball of energy that we often get wrapped up in, we're going to start to bloom. We're going to start to expand. We're going to start to open up and release some things from the mind and body. So as you inhale, extend your arms out in front of you. Extend your spine and the length of your neck. Look forward and out with your eyes. Walk the hands over to the right side of your mat and then fold gently back down. Notice on your inhalations how it increases that sensation of the stretch. How it may cut into a different space between your ribs. Try to breathe smoothly, but also including that longer exhalation like we started with. On your next inhalation, gently lift the head. Walk your hands across to the other side, and then gently lower back down.
double the count on your out breaths. This is going to be our pranayama for the practice. Be contemplative. What are you holding on to that needs to be released? On your next inhale, gently rise up. As you rise up, walk your hands back to the center of your mat. Lift your hips up and align them relatively over the knees. Take your left leg back, curl the toes under, and push energetically back through your thigh, calf, and heel. And then take a moment to set the left knee down, extend your right leg back, curling the toes under, pushing back away from the fingertips, charging into the back calf and heel. When you're ready, set the knee back to the floor, curl your toes under, launch into Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward facing dog. When you're ready, inhale, bring your left knee to the front. We're going to go towards a sleeping swan. Before we go any farther into sleeping swan, just know that you can always adapt this pose. Again, if you have problematic knees, you can cross the left ankle over the right thigh, and you can hug it in, like so. And you could also do something like deer pose, which is sitting up and folding down like this. Okay, so feel free to shape shift in what works for you. And then find your edge of flexibility. Surrender towards that edge. Be here now. One of the greatest gifts that we've been given an opportunity for through this pandemic is to really be present, to slow down, to be present, to surrender to what is. Your body may be molding into this beautifully, but you may feel resistance in your heart or mind. And if you come back to your breath and emphasize those longer exhalations, it will help to free up your mind. It will help to free up any space or worry from your heart. Remain in it. And notice if your hip feels tight as a bud. Know that as you're holding and as you're breathing, you're helping yourself to release, to chisel away at anything that's been hardened inside. On your next in-breath, let's slowly begin to lift. And when we start to lift, I want you to slide your left knee out in front of you. And you can bring your right knee and tuck up underneath, and you can sit back in between your heels. All right, so we're coming into shoelace form. I'm emotional today, so just ignore my sniffling. You can also do this supine on your back, if that's better for you. You'll lift up energetically through the crown of the head, and as you exhale, you're going to start to descend forward. So, there are some things that you should avoid with this type of practice. For instance, if you have
really arthritic hips, you may not want to go as deep. If you have any history of herniated disc, you wouldn't necessarily want to round your back. Remember, you can be as high or as low as your body allows for, but can you move into that state of allowance? Remembering every day is different. Back to the pranayama technique. We're doing a longer count on the exhalation. And if you haven't been in that mode or noticed what you need to release and let go of, maybe just be the question, what is it that I need to release? What is it that I'm clinging to that if I just let go, something else will appear? We always hear that statement, when one door closes, another one opens. Sometimes we have to let go of everything we think we need or desire in order to open ourselves to the possibilities of what is next. And what excites me about that idea is sometimes we can never even truly imagine what would be coming next. Sometimes it's just a lovely surprise from God or the universe. There may be something better and brighter on the other side. Your next inhale, gently begin to rise back up to the top. When you rise up to the top, we're going to lift the left knee, plant the foot down. We are going to stay grounded in our seat, and we're going to twist to the right. The left arm will cross to the inside of the left knee, but at the same time, I'm pushing down through the mound of the left big toe, inner arch, inner heel, and so that as I push down through the sole of the foot, the knee is pressing into the arm as equally as the arm is pressing into the leg, and then rotate around to your right. You can even bend this top arm, or the front arm. And then as you exhale, we're gonna unwind out of the twist and go ahead and switch to the other side. Again, stay grounded and planted on the left foot. And just looking back across the left shoulder. Remember, you don't have to overly crank the neck. If you need to keep the neck neutral, that's permissible. And then gently unwind. As you unwind, we're going to uncross the legs. Come back into this formation that started that sequence with the left knee in front. Curl the back toes under. Take it into plank. From plank position, just gain a little bit of strength here. And then exhale, press back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And from your downward facing dog, we'll enter to the other side of this swan or pigeon position, depending on how you want to name it, depending on if you're going to be a little bit more active or passive. Now, you can go into this version here, or this half or deer form here as an alternative. So find what works best for you. And when you're ready, fold. Carry yourself a little closer down towards the earth. minding your body, your limitations. Listening, feeling, and witnessing the sensation. See if you can embrace some stillness. Even if your mind gets restless, but remember that restless behavior of the mind can get settled down if you remember to utilize your breath. Breathing out to a double count as you inhale, and you can stick with the same count you started with, or you may discover that through your conscious control over the breath, your inhalations can get longer, therefore your exhalations can also be prolonged. Imagine as if you are a magnet being magnetized down towards the earth, towards its gravitational pull. Being fully supported. And it's so important when we're in that process of knowing we must practice aparigraha and we must let go of things either willfully or things that are even taken from us forcefully. Aparigraha, letting go, releasing and surrendering. Through that contemplative nature, just knowing you are still safe and you are still supported. You can even affirm that to yourself. I am safe and supported even when I have to surrender. I am safe and supported even when I have to surrender. Next, inhale, gently begin working your way up to the top. Remember, you can stay supine on your back and just cross the legs, or tuck that left knee out underneath the right. Sit back in between your ankles. From here, in shoelace pose, just taking a moment here. When you're ready, start to descend down. So again, you can be active, still hugging the belly in, keeping the spine straighter. You can even use your arms as a shield so that you're not going past your edge. And you can also bow out and surrender fully if you have healthy back, healthy hips, healthy knees. Next in-breath, you can gently start to rise, walking the hands in, lifting through the crown,
elevating the right knee, planting the right foot pretty strongly into the floor. Lift up energetically through the shaft of the spine. Right arm's going to come to the inside. Remember, you're equally pressing the two together. Left hand crosses behind your back, gazing off over the left shoulder. We did a beautiful Dharma talk, not yesterday, this week with Christy Robinson, who led us through metta, loving kindness. We were talking when we were doing the metta meditation, when you're visualizing yourself or a loved one or a challenging or difficult person, or even strangers or leaders of the world, that you can, even if you disagree with them or don't like their style or their ways, when you're reciting those statements of, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe and free from harm and suffering, to imagine that person as being a little infant or child, or even at the end of their life, and seeing them innocent and vulnerable. So the next time you exhale, let's cross over to the other side for the twist. And feel free to close the eyes or keep them wide open, but affirming mentally to yourself, I radiate my love, my goodwill, and my compassion to soul friends everywhere. Ninesh Shah led another one based on 15 minutes a day can change your life. And it was about accepting people as they are and sitting with the idea of not only accepting them, but loving and respecting them, even if you don't love and respect their choices. And bringing that love and acceptance back to yourself, that's also a part of aparigraha. Letting go of expectations that you have about yourself and about others. So let's take the right leg back behind us, plant the palms, curl the back toes, take it to plank. From plank, exhale to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a full deep breath in and a longer, deeper breath out. And then we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet. When your heels land, I want you to bend the knees and take dangling position. So you can do Uttanasana if you prefer the active form. Letting your head spill down, your arms wave down. These longer, slower exhalations can be either through the nose or mouth. Notice if you have the tendency to lean or preference your weight to one side or the other. I tend to lean to the left. And if you've never noticed that in this pose, start to pay attention. And if you still don't really notice in this pose, pay attention to how you stand at your sink and brush your teeth. That usually gives us a good clue on which side we tend to prefer or compensate with or depend on. Let go, let go, let go. That could even be your inner mantra. Let on the inhale and go on the exhale. Let go. When you're ready, you're going to walk your hands back down the mat. You're going to sink down to your knees, uncurl the toes, come down to the belly. Slide your forearms out ahead of you like you're coming into Sphinx. Well, let's just go ahead and do Sphinx first. So extend your legs back behind you. Feel the pressure down on the pubic bone and on the lower belly.
Rest down deep into the elbows and then shoot upward with your heart center and through the crown of your head. From Sphinx pose, I want you to let go a little bit more, right? Because there's a lot of action and activity here. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of sink. We're not going to root as much, because if you were lengthening your legs and pushing to the top portions of the feet, you were even contracting your glutes. So I want you to separate your feet just a tad and give a little wiggle and rock to your hips. Obviously, you can stay active if this causes any impingement or discomfort in your low back. I'm also going to start to sink down through my chest a little bit more. And I'm going to bow my head. You can join me if you'd like. If this is too much, you can also walk the elbows more forward and bow your head into prayer hands. This is actually super lovely. It's so lovely, I'm going to, well, yes, I'm going to choose to stay here. Assess your needs. And focus again on pranayama, that breath control. The breath control really is for energy control. The longer exhalations are to dispel that restless energy, to dispel those restless thoughts, to dispel any restless behavior of the body, to calm the nervous system, to calm ourselves emotionally. Because it's in that state of calm that we allow for allowance and acceptance, and we can truly be in that offering of sweet surrender. Inhale, we're going to lift up enough to place the right forearm kind of sideways in front of us. We're going to move into a half Bakasana frog pose. So when you start to elevate your left foot, I mean, this may be all you can handle, right? If you can take your left hand around to find the top of the foot, you're going to apply some pressure down as though you're bringing that heel in towards the glutes, preferably towards the outer side of the glutes or towards the out seam of the body. You can stay in the twist, turning around. I'm going to choose to gaze forward. And breathe. And I want you to separate your arms and lower down to your left cheek and just wiggle and rock the hips again, side to side. Return to stillness. Take another in-breath and lift your face off the floor, crawl the arms back in, and then take your left arm in front of you. You can rest on the right hand and slightly twist to the right as you elevate the right foot. You're pointing the toes, but it doesn't have to be too active. Your right hand can go around to find the foot. And again, if you're doing this from home, obviously, if your hand is not attached to your foot, please use some sort of apparatus, a belt, a scarf, a towel. If you have a yoga strap, that works great. And you're in control of how much you do, how much you pull that foot down like a lever. Stay calm and patient, especially as the sensation starts to ignite. Gently release that foot, slide your arms into the goddess arms, roll down to your right cheek, shimmy and shake the hips. Return to stillness. Take the hands up underneath the shoulders and push up again. Separate your knees really wide and bring the big toes together to touch. Flip your hands open, right hand in front of the left. I'll give you an alternative in just a moment. We're going to shoelace arms since we did shoelace legs. So you're sliding the arms through and bowing down towards the third eye. Palms stay lifted open. Now a nice alternative for this, so you can stay in that if that's working for you. Another alternative is to just sit up, take the right arm across or the left arm across and hook the other arm beneath, and you can just hold it here. Another great alternative is to get supine on your back, take the arms overhead and crisscross the arms, letting the fingertips drizzle. They're all slightly different, but the essence is the same. I'm going to return back to shoelace arms. Soften your belly. Gravitate down towards the mat, towards the floor, towards the earth. Knowing that you are safe and supported. So affirm again, I am safe and supported even when I must surrender. Sometimes it's just surrendering control. On your next inhale, gently rise. Flip the hands the other way, slide them through, shoelace arms. Remember the alternative suggestions. You can always sit comfortably, any style, and you can do the other arm, or you can be on your back, supine. And whatever way you crossed your arms before, you're just going to swap it. You'll just lift the arms up and crisscross the other way. I'm going to go back to shoelace arms. Surrendering to what is, and also equally surrendering to what will be. Slowly start to work our way up. When we work our way up, we're going to come down to our backs. But when you come down to, actually come to your left side body. You
come to your left side body. You're going to rest or prop onto your hand. You can also lay the head down on the arm like this or like this, if that's better for you. We're going to take the right leg across the body, and if that strains you at all to have the foot on the floor, you can always have a footrest or blocks or a bolster lined up underneath that foot. Now, the one, hopefully you can see this well, the left knee, we're going to shoot towards the front of the mat. So I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of pushing it back a little bit out of my line of view. You may or may not be able to find the foot with the right hand, but if you take it around behind your back, you might be able to grab a hold of it. And when you grab a hold of it, you're still shifting that left thigh back away from your line of view. So this is cat pulling its tail pose. But there's also a different pose if you would rather move into more of a supine twist. You're still getting this little bit of a quad stretch on the left side and a little bit of that IT bend stretch on the right side. But if you can reach down to find that right foot, you can lower towards your back and start to spin down towards the right shoulder. Relax and breathe. And gently release. When you release, we'll just roll to the other side. So I'll give you this backside view now. Again, the head can rest up or down. The left leg will now go across the midline, and you're going to shift the right thigh back. Your left hand could possibly take over the foot, and if it doesn't, no big deal, right? Just be here. This is your pose. This is the asana. But if you can't find the foot, you can shift the knee back. You can start to roll that left shoulder open. If you can catch a hold of the right foot, you can try to spin down and rest your head to the floor. One is not better than the other, so please take that out of your mind. And if this is too complicated for you, you can just do a simple supine twist. It's no problem. Now let's gently release the handhold from the feet. We'll turn the left foot down and then shift the hips back to center. Once you shift the hips to center, you can extend your legs out before you, and we can practice some Shavasana. Now this is the state of the sweetest surrender. I say this in class a lot, but they make shirts that say, I came to yoga for Shavasana, and that's what we're entering into now. I heard a teacher once say, if you want to be a popular yoga teacher, never teach forward folds. And she followed that with, forward folds are difficult for people because it is expressing this idea, this theme for today of surrendering and letting go. It's a parigraha, right? Close your eyes, take rest. I'm going to take you through a little imagery that I sometimes bring up in Yoga Nidra. So as you close and rest your eyes and take a few deep breaths to settle in, I want you to start imagining that your bones have become super heavy. As your bones get a little heavier, Imagine that someone is coming up and laying down bricks on top of your body, brick by brick. Maybe beginning at the feet and the lower part of the body and moving it into the higher part of the body. Of course, you can imagine keeping your face open, free, so you're not inhibiting your breath. But as you imagine the densest part of your body, the bones, getting heavier, if you feel as though you're magnetized to the earth and then someone is laying on top of you bricks one by one, imagine the weight and the burden that you're carrying. What represents what we need to let go of, but we're still carrying it around. Imagine your body is so heavy you couldn't even move it if you tried. And then start to imagine that someone's taking away the bricks one by one, layer by layer. And as the weight gets lifted off the body, the bones start to disintegrate. And you start to feel lighter and freer. And with that lightness and sense of freedom comes euphoria. So light, so carefree, because of everything you've been releasing. That your body begins to turn into a down feather. A down feather that's so light that it can lift up even with the wind of the breath. Weightless, and it's able to fly with the wind. It's able to soar away from this placement that you're in. Even imagine you as a feather is floating up higher and higher towards the beautiful blue sky. Moving whimsically, no destination. Feel free to stay with this imagery or just continue to let go, watching and observing your breath. Next inhale, stretch the arms overhead. Draw the feet together, and if you need to stay longer in Shavasana, feel free. I'm just doing it for time's sake with the video. Come and curl in on your out breath. Rock over to one side of your body, and then cautiously rise up to the top.
Ground it again with your palms turned down to your knees. Even flowing breaths now. No longer needing to extend the exhales. Place your hands now together to Anjali Mudra. Now, I don't know this from memory, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but it just came to me, the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. May we all learn how to practice aparigraha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.